Hi, now let's look at the data visualization aspect of data analytics. Let's get hands-on and see how to create different graphs in Excel. This will be for the pictorial representation of the graphs. Let's start with a bar chart. So this is the data we have here. There are different categorical variables. In this case, we have different elements in various cities, such as Bangalore, Pune, Mumbai, Chennai, Delhi, Kolkata, and we have a numerical value for each city. These are the populations. We want different bar graphs, meaning we want separate bars for each city, and the height of each bar should match the population. So whatever the population is, that's how tall the bar will be compared to the others. To do this, you'll just need to select the data, and then in the Insert ribbon, you have these options for charts. So there are also some recommended charts. If you want to see which charts are recommended, you can click this button. But if you want to make a bar chart directly, click here. Then you'll see several 2D bar chart options available here. There's also a 3D bar chart option here. So, for example, if you just hover over this button, you'll be able to see what kind of bar graph you'll get with this type of data. If you don't want this particular one, you can choose this other one instead. You'll also have the option to go with 3D graphs as well. So whichever graph you want, you can just click on that specific graph that's available. So if you want to use a 3D graph, just click this and you'll get a different tab. In this, you'll have a bar graph, and by default, your x-axis will be your categorical variable, which would be population by default. By default, your x-axis will be the categorical variable, which would be the names of the cities, and the height of each bar will represent the population we have. You can also rename this by default. It's called population as the graph name. You just have to click here and rename it to whatever you want. For example, if you want to call it population versus cities, you can set the name here. If you want to add different colors, there are many options available here. You can have a bordered line, a solid line, or it can be selected automatically. There are different options for the border colors as well as for filling it in. These are the border attributes available here. So this will only change the borders. If you want to change the color of the bar, you'll need to go to Fill, and from there, select the color you want. If you want it to be red, you can just choose red from here. You have many more options here. You can add different styles of patterns like shadow, glow, or 3D format. You can even change the height or width of the shadows being cast. You can also adjust the depth, gap, or width between these graphs from here. If you don't want a particular section, you can just turn it off. And if you want to add, say, an x-axis here, so you can indicate that these names are cities, you can do that as well. So you'll need to go here and add a chart element. There are some more options available here. So under axis, you'll find horizontal axis and vertical axis. This will display it, since we already have it. We won't go over there. If you want to add titles to your chart, for example, if you want to label it as cities, you'll go to Axis Titles, Primary Horizontal, click there, and change the name to cities. And for example, if you want to add something like population numbers or anything else, say revenue in rupees, if you're doing some kind of financial analysis and the graph is related to finance, you can add that as well. In that case, it would be the vertical axis, and then you can select everything and give it a title. Population over there. So there are many more different parameters available. You can, for example, remove the title, add a title above, keep it centered, overlay it, and there are many more options you can add from there. So for every different graph, these options are available, and you can even add grid lines, remove grid lines, add 3D grid lines, or short grid lines. You can also have legends there. A legend, for example, is useful if you have two types of data in a single graph. Say one bar represents the population in the rural part of the city, and the other represents the population in the urban part of the city, something like that. You can use labels for this. So one bar could be red and the other green, and you can set that up here as well. So now let's see how we can create a pie chart using Excel. You just need to select your data where you'll have one categorical variable. The other is your numerical variable. Select the range and go to the Insert ribbon. Again, you'll see a pie symbol here. You can click that and you'll have 2D and 3D options. You also have a donut-shaped or ring-shaped pie chart option as well. So whichever chart you want, we'll go with 2D this time. And this is the 2D chart here. It automatically calculates the percentages, and if you hover over it, it'll show you the details as well. Now, for example, if you want it to be displayed, here you have many options, many other different types of graphs that have different pictorial representations within the pie chart as well. So you can select and go with whichever option you want. If you want to add some more features to this, you have Add Chart Element to help you out. Say you want to remove the chart name, or you want to add it within the chart, or you want it above, you can do that. We'll try to rename it to pie chart. And also, if you want data labels there, you can have those as well. The exact value, or if you want it to be, say, calculated percentages, you can have that as well. So these data callouts or this best fit, you can use these options to get different kinds of labels for your pie chart. You have many more options available under the More Options tab as well. Legends can also be used. For example, if you want the names of the cities at the top of the bar or on the left inside of the bar, you can do that as well. So I'll just try and show you how you can get these percentages. You can also try to get these percentages over here as well. You can have them embedded too. Now, for example, if you want to highlight this particular one, Mumbai, which is the largest slice at 29% of the pie, you just need to select it and pull it out like this, but not too much, just a little bit so you can see that every other slice of the pie is coming out, and then you can pull out that specific value. So how do you do that? So for example, if you want to pull out this particular piece of the pie, let's say the city with the largest population is Mumbai, which is 29%. And you want to highlight that, you just need to drag it out like this. But before you do that, when you try to pull it out, every other city will also pop out. That's why you should just pull out the one you want and leave it. Then drag your piece to the extent you want it to stand out. Okay, so it will show you the border where you let go the first time, and then the next time you drag it, you can pull it out even further. Now, let's try to see how we can make a line chart. For a line chart with one categorical variable and one numerical variable, you just need to select the data again, go to the Insert ribbon, and select Line Chart. So you have this option right here. You have many different types of line charts. Here we have a line chart where the x-axis represents the months and the y-axis shows the temperature for each month in Pune City if we select that particular column. If you want to add markers as well, you can use this specific graph. There are also many different types of markers you can use in your graph. So we'll go with this 3D, actually we'll go with this 2D line graph. And this will be the graph where we have markers by default, and the x-axis is our categorical variable of months. The y-axis is our temperature, so we can see that it's now very easy for us to compare how the average temperature changed or shifted in a particular month. So in January, it was somewhere around 23 to 24, and then it gradually increased, peaking somewhere between May and June at around 40 degrees Celsius in Pune. Then, when the first rain came, there was a slight downward slope, which means the temperature started to drop. And by December, it was the coldest, somewhere around 20 degrees Celsius. And for Pune, you can now see how to change these colors. You just have these options as we've seen before. These options are available for every graph, so if you want this in black, you can do that too. So for each line as well, you can change this, or if you want to do it for the whole line, you just need to select the entire line and assign a color to it. You can see that the markers are still in blue. So if you want to change the markers, you have a separate tab here for markers. You want to make it yellow or orange, you can do that. So now in black, your markers are orange. You can also add another line to this. You can add another line to the x-axis or y-axis from here. As we saw in our previous graphs, if you want to add another line, say for a different city besides Pune's temperature, you can select the data and simply plot the graph again. This time, there will be a comparative analysis of both points. So this is your next graph, which uses both parameters, that is, both features Pune and Jaipur. You can see and compare how the temperatures of these two cities shifted. For example, in January, they were almost the same, but there was still a difference of about 1 or 2 degrees between Pune and Jaipur. Then the temperature started rising, but Jaipur's temperature increased much more than Pune's in the month of May. And then again, both started coming down, and in the month of July, it was pretty cold. Or you could say the temperature spiked less in Jaipur than in Pune, and then again it overtook. This is how we can observe the cycle of average temperatures for the two different cities in a comparative analysis using this particular line graph. Now let's try and see how the radar chart works. We know that for a radar chart, we want at least one categorical data and at least one numerical data. You can have multiple numerical data as well. So let's try and make a radar chart where the outer boundary of the radar will be the different categorical variables, and the inner shape of the radar will be formed using the different marks for different subjects of a particular student. So each color will represent the marks for each subject, and each sector or each category in the name column, that is the categorical variable, will have different regions in the radar graph. Now let's try and select the data again. Go to Insert. Now this time we'll select the scatter plot. Now let's go and try making this radar chart. So for this, you will have to select your data, all the rows, all the columns, whatever is there, including the headings. You'll have to select this radar option, and within this, you have this radar chart here. So you can have 3 different types of radar charts. The area could be filled with color. You can have a radar chart with markers as well at the positions where it intersects with a categorical variable, or you can have a simple radar chart. So we will try to make a simple radar chart in this case. You can see how there is a distribution, or how your cycle of science marks is progressing. Since these are your science marks, the yellow is at the outermost layer for these 2 names, which means that this outermost circle represents 180, then 60, 40, 30, and so on. Now we can see that this orange is coming up to the border. So this means that Raj and Rashmi have scored high marks, that is above 80, since this is above this particular sector of the radar, and we can see that since it is nearly touching your 100 mark. So this means that Rashmi has scored some marks close to 200, and she has also scored such high marks in math as well, since the blue color represents math. And that is also somewhere in the top sector of the radar. Now for your English marks, you have that somewhere further ahead, near what we would call the 80th sector line. So she has scored somewhere around 80 in the English paper. Since this is in gray color, and since we are looking at this particular sector, this sector belongs to Rashmi, which is the categorical variable. This is how you can draw multiple inferences from a particular graph. Now let's try to see how a combination graph works. A combination graph is a graph in which we have a combination of a line graph and a bar graph. So for 2 different numerical features, we can have 2 different types of graphs with respect to a unique categorical variable. So for that, you'll just need to select the data, go to the Insert ribbon, and select this combo graph from there. You have many different options available to help you out. You can have a simple line graph for these 2 parameters, the numerical parameters, which are marks in math and marks in science. You can also have a stacked area graph. Go with the normal clustered column graph. So in this, you can also have many different types. So you can choose whatever pattern you want. But how can we interpret the data from here now? Now we have these particular 7 values, which are the different marks of different students. Ajay, Sumit, Rahul, Priya, Rashmi, Raj, and Sakshi. And the second column was their marks in science. The third was marks in math. So here in blue, we have a bar graph showing marks in science, and the line graph represents their marks in math. So you can see that since Ajay had 43 marks in science and 34 marks in math, that's why the height of the bar for science marks and the line for math marks are close to each other. And so it's clear that the topper is Sakshi, with the highest marks in both science and math. That's why it's almost touching the 100 line, which makes sense because she has 98 and 99 marks in science and math respectively. So based on the marks or values, the height of the bar is determined and the position of the line graph is also set accordingly. This is how we combine two types of graphs into one graph in Excel. Now, let's say you want two different types of data in a single graph. For example, your marks in math and science for different students displayed within one bar graph, meaning you'll have two separate columns in one bar graph. This is different from a combination graph. A combination graph includes different types of graphs within a single chart, while a column chart has two separate columns, that is, two different bars within a single bar graph. So for that, you'll need to select the data first. So let's select the data for all the numerical values, that is, marks in math and marks in science. Then select your categorical data, go to the bar graph button, and there choose any graph you want. For example, we'll go with this one. Here, we're getting a comparative analysis of two specific sets of marks in two different subjects for each student. So this is how we can create a column chart, which is two different bar graphs within a single bar graph. This is how we can create a column chart where we can display two different features. That is, two different numerical columns as two separate bars in two different colors within a single bar chart. Now, you can also create a scatter plot, which is a graph that shows the relationship between two numerical values. Wherever these two numerical values intersect, there will be a marker at that point. Unlike a line graph, this won't connect the markers. It will only show the points where these two numerical values meet, collided. So for that, we'll need to select these two different columns and click the scatter plot button to generate this particular graph. This is how you can create a scatter plot, which will show you the relationship between two different parameters. So this axis will represent your experience, and the y-axis will represent your salary. If you want to add a best fit line to your scatter plot, you'll need to go to Add Chart Elements, and there you'll find the trend line option. From here, you can choose linear, exponential, or whichever type you want. We'll go with the linear line. You can change the color of this line here, and you can also change the color of the scatter points here. You can even change the markers. If you don't like these round markers, you have full access to the tools for changing the description or the visual representation of each and every graph.
If you enjoyed this video, you can enroll in Great Learning Academy for free. Choose from hundreds of courses across multiple domains and earn a certificate of completion along the way. And if you want to take it a step further, you can try Great Learning Academy Pro Plus with a free trial. It provides access to additional premium courses with more advanced content from distinguished faculty, along with features like guided projects, a resume builder, and mock interviews to make your learning journey even richer. Link is in the description.